anima.
Yeah, because Japanese, but most say just anima or just red. And we're already off.
And we're off getting either money or a heart, depending on whether we started at Link's house or in the back of the sanctuary.
Indeed, we're also getting a map check. It looks like the green pendant is in desert, and the other two live world dungeons have a crystal 5-6 on top of Hera.
Mm-hmm. Now, a green pendant does open up an item to us, but it takes quite a few items to get into the desert there, so we're probably not going to see people heading down there right away. In fact, we're seeing quite a few different routes. We're seeing some people heading up, maybe going to check out what is on the ledge behind the people cutting this lovely tree, and also some folks visiting our uncle, and just heading out into random directions in the world.
Indeed. So the runners here on the restream today are Calvin919, P-Train, HXC Jetters, and Durand. We have a heart piece on the Lumberjack ledge, so we're probably not going to see anybody pick that up.
Probably not.
And very varied selection of sprites today as well. We have, I think that's, what's it called, a Psyduck?
Yes, I love that Psyduck sprite. That's great.
We have Marissa for Durand. We have, I think that's Minish Capling, because of the red hair for P-Train, and Jetters is using the Magus from Chrono Trigger.
Yes, that's a good sprite, although I wish when you ran it floated like he does in Chrono Trigger. Instead, he just walks real fast. So we're seeing people taking a few different routes around Hyrule right now. The goal tonight, we should talk about a little bit. So with Randomizer, usually what your goal is to run around all the world, find all of the items that you need to kill all of the bosses in the crystal dungeons, and then you can go and kill Ganon. It's a little bit almost traditional feeling. In this case, we're just going to pull the Master Sword pedestal, which might be a shorter trip, but it also might mean having to do a lot more work because there's a lot of area in which to search for what could be kind of bottleneck items.
Yeah, and there is, of course, the fact that we found a cane of Burna in the mini Moldarm cave. Jetter is opting to put Kakariko off for now, and also a fire rod in Blind's hut. But what I wanted to say is that this seed can range from being like 40 minutes to like just 2 hours, depending on how the dungeons are looking like.
Yeah, because there's so many places that you could get bottlenecked and have to search for things. It's really interesting because even though there's less goals overall, there's so many places that you can search for items in this game, 20 odd of which are in Ganon's tower. So if any one of the items that is required to beat any of those 3 dungeons with the pendants is in Ganon's tower, you need to beat every single crystal dungeon and then go into Ganon's tower and start opening chests.
Yeah, and of course, we found a lamp here, a bottle in the chicken hut and a lamp in the front of Escape, so Aghanim's starting kit.
And we have another commentator with us now. We have Frico coming in.
Lies.
Okay, we don't actually have a Frico. I'm sorry.
I'm in disguise. I'm incognito today.
I see.
Right, so since I was meant to be a stand-in for Frico, I guess I'll sign out. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you on the other side.
And you're still going to be tracking for us, right?
That
at least for a while.
The other side by jumping, from the commentator side to the tracker side. The big mystery.
Ooh. Red Armir doing some good work here. Armir, good. I can't even pronounce it correctly. Hey, this is just the nature of this business. It's all us just doing volunteer work whenever we can, and hey, we jump around if we need to.
I think it's the Red Armir from the Ghouls and Ghosts franchise.
Aha. Okay.
If, memory serves me correctly.
For some reason, my brain will not put the R's and the E's in the correct place, and it just wants to stick all of the E's in the end of the word all together. I don't know why.
All right, so help me out here since
Mhm.
I'm fashionably late
Mm.
due to circumstances not entirely in my control, but I could have said, leave me alone. It's 9 o'clock and I have to do something else. But unfortunately, work kind of called me and they're like, oh, we need you next week. No, leave me alone. It's the summer. There's no school.
Yeah.
No need of bus drivers.
Who works in the summer at all?
Exactly.
Well, we've got people taking a bunch of different. They took a bunch of different routes to check out stuff all around the world, but they're kind of seeming to come together here in Kakariko. We're finding a glove here, I believe, in the race game, which that's a nice find early on.
Well, this is a pedestal seed, and I see only one pendant. So that means we're almost certainly going to need Dark World access.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I'm seeing that is a little bit troubling is we have a fire rod and an ice rod already, and we know what those two items combined actually mean.
Oh, it's a all expenses paid trip to the westernmost part of the map, also known as the Turtle Rock Spa and Resort.
Ah, yeah. It takes a couple of gloves and a hammer and a cane of Samaria to get into. But other than that, as long as you got something you can kill the boss with, you're in pretty good shape. But of course, nobody really wants to go there first thing.
No, not at all. But with the ice rod showing up, fairly early. Quiet chat. It's the Dark World. You need the mirror to get there. Left is right, east is west. You're looking in a mirror.
Well, we found a book. We can at least get into our desert palace, which is our green pendant. So we can start feeling like we're making progress, though I get the feeling, it's going to be a bit of a check here and a check there, especially since Durand, who's heading in there right now, doesn't seem to have the glove, which is a little bit necessary to get to the back of this whole shebang.
Well, it looks like the sick kid was doing a little light reading, and he's just like, I don't understand this. Here, please have this book. You might be able to put it to better use than I can.
If he wasn't sick, he could travel around the world reading tablets, and if he had a sword in hand, he might be able to get something out of him. But
yeah, that's true. I think it may just be a temporary rental until the sick kid recovers, but it'll help Link get into Desert Palace. So that will, at least give us one pendant.
Yeah, but it seems as though we are going to need a little bit more equipment to get in. Although with finding a nice sword on the ledge here, that's always a nice find early on. Now they can access items on the tablets if they can get to them with that book and that master sword.
Now, not that I really want to do this. It is a ped seed already.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to get a little Aghanim action here? Because I'm seeing Master Sword, Lantern, Aghanim for Dark World access. Is that, the equation we're looking at here?
I mean, if we find a moon pearl, that would almost solidify it right away. But the other option is we search absolutely everywhere and we don't find a moon pearl, and that's the last location. And then maybe the moon pearl's on the pyramid ledge, in which case they got to fight their way through Aghanim to get at it.
Question in chat: how does a pedestal seed work?
Well, I mean, for a normal randomizer seed, a pedestal seed is just sort of like a bonus where you have to you have to complete all of the dungeons that are pendants in order to pull the Master Sword item, which in this case, normally it's in this case, it could be, let's say, the Ice Rod, for instance, if it was that type of a seed. But in this one, The whole end goal of the game is to pull that pedestal, so we don't actually need to go and fight Ganon at all. But to get all the items we need to pull that pedestal, we could be going on a bit of a goose chase.
Well, speaking of that, I think I've just seen the flute in the 3 chests being pulled by P-Train. He was in the escape sequence.
Yeah, that definitely opens things up, which is good and bad. In this case, I think it's probably a good thing with that mirror. It gives people access to get up onto Death Mountain if there's something on the ledge of Spectacle Rock, for instance. But it might be a little bit intimidating too if you have a lot of options open to check.
And that definitely could be the case, but Ice Rod Cave giving us the Redarang, so that unfortunately a little out of the way and not too useful. Oh well.
Oh well. It's funny in this seed. Usually in a vanilla Link to the Past, you get a sword from your uncle. And this one, he somehow limped to the other room and put it in that chest, and then went back and sat down next to the spot where he normally collapses. So didn't get too far with it.
Well, you figure it's not really all that rainy out, and at this point the guards might actually do their job and maybe go on patrol. So they might find him.
Mm-hmm.
And, if he had the sword on him, they'd just be like, no, we're going to confiscate this contraband.
Mm-hmm.
So, hide it in a treasure chest where nobody would ever find it.
Nope, except for apparently Link, who has the master key to everything.
But we're starting to see not so much of a divergence anymore. It looks like the options are running a little thin for our runners at this point. It looks like Duran's actually considering Eastern Palace, at least to the point that you can get without having the bow.
Yeah, it often is a worthy check, I find, because those chests are so open. They're within that first sphere of logic of as soon as you leave Link's house, you can wander over there and pick them up without too much trouble. So if there's blocking your progression, nice to get it out of the way.
Well, I think Calvin's going to end up with a bit of an advantage here, as well as HXC Jetters. P-Train's actually going to go Desert Palace now, but I think Calvin and Jetters going through the escape sequence. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Calvin picked up the flute yet.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully
So
that's the next stop here.
Flute is going to, give a bit of an advantage for the runners.
Yeah, it's going to make them more liable to do those out of the way checks, like we've seen the Ice Rod Cave check, not worth all that much, but nice to get it done. And then maybe you'll even see somebody pop into Agina's cave and
Well, especially with Desert Palace. Ooh, a key on the torch. So, are we boots locked in Desert Palace?
We sure are.
Oh no.
When stuff's locked by the boots, it always becomes an interesting quandary.
And here I was kind of hoping it would be, all right, Desert Palace is sort of that, the gimme. It's like, okay, here's everything you need for Desert Palace. We'll give you one, but, well, you're going to have to work for the other two.
Uh-huh. We had one of our trackers, Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna, which was boots locked Desert Palace, and to get the boots you have to get all the way up to the final chest, which we sometimes call the validation chest, the very last chest you can possibly check in the game, in the top of Ganon's tower, which would be very hilarious but also very mean.
Now, I was kind of speculating earlier in the Discord when I saw it was the Pedestal seed, and I'm going, you know, this is going to be silly here. You give Turtle Rock a pendant, and you go, all right, let's hide the ice rod in Ganon's tower, and so it almost turns into an all dungeons sort of thing where it's like, oh no.
Yeah, but we can achieve that with some boots, just some light boots trolling. That's totally achievable.
Yeah, it looks like it. Now we are going to have to get some kind of Dark World access. So
Yeah,
do
we're
we
really
start
stymied.
looking at like the Houlihan room to go up towards Zora?
Yeah, we would have to because none of our runners have more than a few hundred rupees. We need 500 for that check. So I think a Houlihan wouldn't be a bad option. But we are definitely running out of things that can be checked without without doing glitches or
Yeah, any kind of sequence breaks
yeah.
to.
We can't do a lot of like sometimes people if we have the moon pearl they can do a fake flippers and get a couple of chests in the waterfall cave as well. But we can't. Oh my goodness, we can't do that. And also, did you see Spectacle Rock?
No, I did not.
Oh, it's
Oh,
just a
that.
bow. It's fine.
Oh,
Oh, and a lamp, which let us complete a dungeon that is a crystal dungeon and not at all one of the pendant dungeons that we want to be completing.
oh boy.
This could be a very roundabout seed, but at least you get a consolation prize, another sword. So we have 3 swords in play. Well, so most of our runners should be able to get to tempered without too much trouble.
Yeah, and it's almost telling me that, all right, something's on the pyramid ledge in the way of most likely a moon pearl, for example, because with this many swords, it's just a giant neon sign that's going, hey, yeah,
There's a wizard that needs killing.
yeah, Hyrule Castle, this way,
Hmm.
upstairs.
And there's our final 2 pendants in Misery Mire and Palace of Darkness.
Well,
What
that bow's definitely needed for Palace of Darkness, so
good to know that it's needed for something other than just potential of trolling going into Eastern Palace. Also, our 5 crystal was on Thieves Town there.
so now the real issue is knowing what we know. What do we need to get into Misery Mire?
Well, we have the flute already, and we have 1 set of gloves, so we need 1 more.
Well,
And
we're
we're
going
gonna
to need
need,
a medallion as well. And I
yeah.
see that looks like Quake on the right, or 3 of our runners now with Quake medallion. So are we rooting for an easy, quick night tonight, or are we going, all right, give them Bombos or something like that? Because, we could throw 2 potential hurdles into the mix.
Well, one thing kind of just put things a little bit into faster seed mode, and that was our blue Psyduck friend here, the shiny Psyduck, just picked up a Moon Pearl in Tower of Hera.
Ooh, nice. So that is definitely progression. We're going to need that.
But we still don't have Dark World access.
Of course we do. you just it's like one of those things where it's like you have a problem and you don't want to admit that you have a problem. And then all of your friends are like, "No, really, you have a problem."
It's a wizard. He has a lot of balls. You have to deflect them back toward him.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like no matter what you want to do, it's just like you're in such a state of denial that you just don't want to go into Hyrule Castle and take on Aghanim.
People don't want to do it. I find I tend to just want to go and get it over with. But another consolation prize is, so if we just want to go all out, we can just have all things.
Well, I'm actually somewhat interested to see what compelled our runners to actually go into Tower of Hera.
I can see checking when you're right up there and you have all that access. I can see kind of doing the checks of the chests. I don't know if I would think it was worth it to kill the boss, but I mean,
Well,
you're
Calvin
there, I
must
guess.
have figured out that there's an item on Moldorm.
We'll see what it is. No, I guess
No,
not.
that's a compass. That's definitely not an item. So,
No. Interesting choices so far. We're seeing Jetter's heading up as well.
hedging bets against having to go into Ganon's tower. I mean, Moldorm is fairly easy. Basement of Terra. Okay. You want to take down Moldorm first and eliminate Hera's basement as being where the compass is or something like that.
I guess. And you've already climbed the tower that far. You got a nice shiny sword. You're confident in your abilities to kill that worm. I sort of see it, but also I think after getting that moon pearl and maybe checking the hints and the chests in the middle, I might have gotten out of here and gone where that would take me instead of kind of toiling in this dungeon for one of if we've just this isn't like a pedestal seed where you're gonna have to do 3 dungeons to go and pull the pedestal. This is if you're doing the alternate goal of going to Ganon's tower, you got to clear 7 dungeons. You don't want to really commit to that first thing.
That's very true. But I think, again, the runners are kind of looking at it and going, I can't leave this one item in Tower of Hera after beating Moldorm, even though we see from Calvin's side that it's just a 20 rupee drop. It could be, insert useful item here that then ends up having you go back after making who knows how many checks throughout the land as a whole. So it's this seed's gonna be like 1-800-GAMBLER, where it's like, I admit I have a problem.
Yeah, every crystal dungeon that gets completed, it's like another friend has to send you a letter and say, I think look
you
at your
really
choices.
have to stop doing these 5-team parlays on all underdogs because you're not really going to win any of them.
But we're getting some desert checks from our folks who haven't been this way yet, and they're going to find that they're going to need some boots. So I think they were all hoping that they'd be able to make some progress right now after that frustrating trip up Tower of Hera, and they're going to get a little bit more frustrated instead.
Yeah, so what we know now is Desert Palace is boots locked. Technically, we could go into Eastern Palace. However, Oghnum's also logically on the table because we have the lantern, we have at least a level 2 sword, so we can break the seal into the penthouse suite of Hyrule Castle.
Yeah. But nobody wants to go there, so it looks like we're seeing P-Train going on the to Eastern Palace.
So it might be an interesting play to see who actually goes for Hyrule Castle as opposed to Eastern Palace.
I think one of our runners dipped into Eastern already, but I don't remember anything particularly exciting coming of it. But they also did not have the bow at that time, so maybe if they're going to be doing another crystal dungeon, another letter we have to write warning them of the dangers of indulging in crystals.
Yeah. A question in chat, and unfortunately I have no way of answering this one. What's on the lumberjack cave? Was that checked at all?
I believe it was a piece of heart. There wasn't anything particularly exciting there. So that's another reason nobody's going for Aghanim, but it's starting to get a little bit more like maybe that's the play.
Well, I believe Eastern Palace has 2 items.
I think it's 3. If I'm counting, I'm trying to count the chests in my mind. Yeah, it would be 3 items in Eastern Palace.
Okay. Let's see. Calvin is going to turn in the green pendant, so we'll see if that gets him anything.
I don't think they
There's
have
the quake in the back of Sahasrala's hut in his hidden closet.
Yeah, green pendant is
Oh, wait,
Desert
no.
Palace.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I'm just ahead of myself. It's Friday night, and I was like, rush to get here. And I'm like, oh.
It's all good. We're gonna have some
still
time.
Trying to go, mile a minute in my head to catch up on everything.
I get the impression we're probably going to be here for a little while. I don't think we're going to have a jet pedestal seed today.
Uh-oh. So what do we think? Cooking tips from Cataclysm, or
I'll tell you all about my sourdough.
Oh, it looks like we do have a taker on Hyrule Castle. It looks like HXC Jetters is on his way to the penthouse suite.
That is probably going to be a good play. Also, Durand is at the same time, kind of in the basement, toiling away. And
yeah, he just picked up his lantern.
So maybe that will
heading through the escape sequence.
Hopefully, that will be sort of a clue. Like, this is the time. Climb the tower. You did the basement. Do the top now.
Yeah, the old "Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?" Those little hints. It's like, here, you found the vile henchman. You're on the right track.
Mm-hmm. And you have the mirrors, so resetting and running straight up is really not that bad.
No, not at all. Well, I mean, we're seeing P-Train and Calvin at this point in Eastern Palace, and it looks like they're just striking out so far. Mm-hmm. But we do still have a couple chests to go. I think once they realize they're out of options, they're just going to be like, all right, I'm out.
It looks like because P-Train's heading all the way back, there's got to be something on Armos. I hope at least that's why you go all the way through.
Well, you can justify the Tower of Hera pickup because you don't want to go into the basement. And it was just unfortunate that there's an item left and it's a 50-50 shot of being on Moldorm or in the basement. And the only logical reason I can think of is that Armos has an item and it's Titan's Mitts.
Oh my, well, that turns out to have been the perfect play. Well, there's our Dark World access. Our bottom runners are going to have it through the gate in front of Hyrule Castle, but our top runners are going to be able to, and assuming Calvin doesn't nope out of here, going to be able to get into the Dark World by way of that entrance in front, sort of behind the Kakariko Village, bringing you to the Village of Outcasts.
Well, here's the moment of truth for us right here. P-Train's on his way to Misery Mire. So we'll see what the entry requirement is.
It's good old-fashioned Quake.
Ooh, yes.
Interesting. So that's starting to probably feel a little bit better for these runners, at least for those who made that decision.
Well, certainly for P-Train, and if Calvin sees this through, definitely for him as well. Now we're going to have a situation where, it's not where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, but where in the world are my boots?
Yeah, my kingdom for a tailor or for a cobbler, I guess. So we can open Mire. We still don't have any way to get into Mire because we don't have boots, which of course everybody wants, or a hook shot, which would at least let us check out everything in the front part of Mire. We know the big key. We got a clue. The big key is on the fire-locked side of Mire.
Now, all right, let's play conspiracy theorist for a
All right.
little while. What could possibly be in Ganon's tower at this point that isn't exclusive to the Crystal Dungeons? Because I think Swamp Palace, of all things, locks us out of a lot of the items that we would need otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, one option would still potentially be the boots.
Okay, so now it's I almost feel like playing a game of Clue. It's, Professor Plum in the observatory with the the pipe wrench.
Yeah. But we still need the hammer to complete the Palace of Darkness. And we definitely need boots. And what else do we...
Well, the hammer would be needed in Swamp Palace, so that I can prove that one wrong with Swamp Palace.
Yeah.
The hook shot as well. We have the Quake Medallion for Misery Mire. So now it's narrowing down, all right, what do we need for Palace of Darkness? What do we need for Misery Mire? And, well, we already know we need the boots for Desert Palace as well.
Yeah, we don't have a Cane of Samaria yet. That's going to be integral to put literally one block on one switch, but we still need the cane for that.
Okay, well, the cane at least gets proven wrong by Turtle Rock, of all places.
Mm-hmm. Can't be in Ganon's tower for that reason.
So the hammer and cane definitely can't be in Ganon's tower. However, I can't think of a reason why the boots don't give us a little bit of a all dungeon night tonight instead of a pedestal seed.
Mm-hmm. I think they could. I don't know that there's another item that would completely lock it. So until the boots are found, the dream is alive.
That's all I need. All I need is a little hope to cling to, and I'm all right.
We're seeing P-Train just killed a moth and is now heading back in for this last chest in Skull Woods here. Seems to be treating this like a normal seed, clearing crystal dungeons.
And it looks like finding a rupee going to mirror out of there. So we'll see what he ends up checking on the way back out, unless Mothula itself had an item as well.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, an item that we missed while we were speculating and kind of about Ganon's tower, hookshot is in Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, looks like Jetter's picking that up on his way through Palace of Darkness, so for the time being at least, Jetter's just gonna take what he can get. Ooh, voting the red mimic off the island, it seems. He just exits stage. I'm not even sure what to call that.
I don't know, but I like it. Swag points. I've seen people do that in Ganon's tower as well. It's fun.
And Twitch chat coming in with all kinds of conspiracy theories at this point. With the boots being at the end of a line of fetch quests. And of course, you have to go into Ganon's tower to get some part of the fetch quest.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully nice and deep, like one of the mini Helmasaur chests or something, way all the way up at the top of the tower.
we can certainly hope. And that, sounds like an awful Star Wars Rogue One, trailer plug, but it is what it is.
Yeah. We have one piece of a potential fetch quest chain. We've got a mushroom in Dark Palace.
Ooh, P-Train played the chess game, but I unfortunately did not see what he got. But Calvin found Mothula with a burrito, so that'll be 3 crystals for Calvin as well.
Some blueberries there in the chess game.
Ooh, that's a hammer.
That sure is. They're hammering away at some brew there in the brewery.
Yeah, got to seal those barrels shut with something. So
Yeah, it's important.
So that's one item on our shopping list down. So that's the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good to
now
have that.
it's
Before heading into Palace of Darkness, you can clear it all in one go.
so Jetters is going to get blocked off here then.
Mm-hmm. But at least heading straight back through after you've kind of cleared everything out is not the worst. There's definitely worse dungeons for that. Like, I don't know, Ice Palace is kind of annoying to have to go all the way through. Speaking of, no flippers or anything yet.
No. It almost looked like Calvin was ready to go check the pedestal because he had the book and it looked like he was ready to mirror back over to the light world. And I think he realized,
Wait.
yeah, I already know there's a Triforce hiding on the pedestal.
Yeah, I mean, you could check it for us. That would be fine. We're not going to complain.
Now, chat's saying you can't clear pod without the hammer.
Yeah.
Is there a hammer peg? Because I know you can bomb Helmasaur King's helmet off.
There's a sneak pegs just after you shoot a statue, and it takes that nice long cutscene to open it up, and then you head downstairs. There's just a little ring of little hammer pegs that you have to pound down in order to get through and progress. And that's the part that you'll realize, oh wait, I need my hammer.
Right. Thank you. So I'm going, all right.
I know because I've been there.
Yeah, it's not before the arrow spot, and I was thinking, all right, what minor little detail am I overlooking? So I'm like, all right, a lot of people say you need the hammer for Helmasaur King, but that's not entirely true.
No, you can bomb them, but yeah, that's where you're the only place you actually need the hammer in there. It's sort of like in Swamp Palace where you need the hammer to progress in past that one first chest, but you don't think about it because it's the only place you need the hammer in that whole dungeon.
Well, P-Train, gonna do some checks. Got a blacksmith in tow, doing some hammer pegs. So looks like hammer peg cave, blacksmith. We'll see if either of these pay out for P-Train.
No, just a heart. So the hammersmith train comes to a stop. Now it's time to turn in the frog train. Meanwhile, Jetters is now in Eastern Palace, which is probably gonna be a good move if they go through and finish the whole thing.
Well, if you're tracking items, you just go, all right, Armos has an item, and then you're kind of committed in at that point to go, all right, I have to take down Armos. It's the same thought process as Tower of Hera.
Yeah, and you're right there. You don't. If you find out you need to do it later, you don't want to have to go through the whole dungeon again. So why not? And in this case, this is definitely the correct play.
So Calvin gonna find a hammer as well now. It looks like Durand is doing a couple out of the way checks that probably not gonna pay out. It looked like Graveyard Ledge, which was rupees.
Yeah, when you have everything to do those checks, I understand wanting to go and do them. It's tough to kind of make those decisions with your routing. Do I check the things that I know I have all the items to check, or do I put them off until I have a couple of other things so that I can do 2 or 3 checks at once?
Yeah, Duran checking, I believe that was Bumper Cave, seeing that nothing to his liking and going, all right, I'm out. I think I'm going to go into Skull Woods at this point.
Yeah, there's some work to be done in Skull Woods. I don't recall there being anything particularly of worth, unfortunately, for following that train of thought through.
Ooh, powder from the locksmith.
Well, that's a good fetch quest chain. I hope that leads to something.
Technically, I guess with the mushroom in hand already, Jetters or Durand could have pulled the fake powder off.
That's true.
P-Train continuing forward, going to blow up the Bombos tablet. Be rewarded with 20 gold.
Equipping a bomb.
Okay. Chat reminding me that you need a cane, specifically the red one,
Oh,
for fake powder.
that's interesting.
I believe it's the item slot directly above where the powder is.
So we're gonna get a little hint here. Unfortunately, a troll hint from P-Train. But I think we're getting a hype cave check.
Yeah, it looks like it. He's in the area. I can't think of any other reason why you wouldn't just save and quit at that point.
Yeah, got that
Jetter's
bomb ready.
picking up Titansmiths, so here we go. Here's a little bit of a moment of truth. We have 5 checks here for P-Train. Ooh, strike 1. Silver arrows. Bombos. Bloomerang. And
Hype cave.
red cane.
That was a hype cave. That's one of the best ones I've seen in a while.
Wow. Definitely a good one. I don't see how I don't give that a 10 of 10.
You really can't ask for anything more.
Well, I mean, you could live the dream and the boots would have been in there, but I think that would allow us to give like an 11 of 10 rating to the Hype Cave.
Yes.
Just like a all-in-one quickie mart, everything you need right here in one, easy, convenient location.
Mm-hmm. Now we're seeing P-Train. I think P-Train is heading over to the right. I mean, there's a bunch of chests you can check over here. I can sort of understand why. You could go and complete Misery Mire at this point, I believe. But we're going to get a lot of chests checked in a short period of time. So, it's a pretty reasonable play in terms of just economy of time and chest checking.
That is true. P-Train obviously dealing with Ether Tablet and Tower of Hera already. I think we're going to see Eastern Death Mountain at this point. Potentially, do you consider poking your head into Turtle Rock?
Why not? You have everything you need to clear it. Oh, and there's a flipper on that floating island.
Oh boy.
Now, P-Train did not pop into Palace of Darkness, and so does not have the hook shot. So there are 4 chests in the Dark World here that they actually cannot get access to.
Well, you could see some mad hover strats.
I guess we could. I don't know if hovering's part of P-Train's skill set, but hey, look what we have. We have the way to get into Turtle Rock.
How convenient. P-Train finding the bombos for Turtle Rock. So with the cane in hand, I don't think P-Train's going to go much past checking the hint tile.
I would kind of hope not, although, I mean, you could just assume that Turtle Rock's going to have some value in it, but it's such a long slog to get to it.
I mean,
Does P-Train know this is a race?
well, he may have just decided that, all right, you gave me the ice rod. Why?
Mm-hmm. I have all the tools I need to get into Turtle Rock now. This is the Turtle Rock kit. Absolutely everything I could require is in my hands, so clearly the game wants me to go here.
I mean, it would be absolutely hilarious if Trinex had the boots. Because for Pre-Train, that is his go mode. Finding the boots wins him the seed at this point because, well, at least for our restreamed runners.
But I think the race to the best sword is won by Jetters, who remembered that hint and went and got their beautiful butter sword out of the, I believe, the Paradox or the Super Bunny cave. I think it was the Paradox cave.
I think, chat actually telling me that they got a hint that a unique item was in Mimic Cave.
You know, that's right. I do. Oh, that's probably why they're heading up this way. Must be the unique item we want. Definitely not just a single arrow or something. That.
Yeah, there are unfortunately a couple whammies here. I'm not sure if the shields would count as a unique item, but we have
believe so.
A couple other items that are still at large. The Bugnet, Cape, Ether. We know where the flippers are.
Mm-hmm. Could be a shovel. Shovel would be good.
I mean, as it stands, it's a 1 in 6 play at this point, so let's go for it.
I guess. With that hint in hand and all the tools you need to also finish the dungeon, and, you know, there are quite a few locations to check in here. Why not?
Well, Jetters has picked up Super Bunny Cave and finding 2 hearts.
I'm doing all those chest checks over there. I was expecting that's where P-Train was going, but turns out there really hasn't been a whole lot of value there. But maybe that will change in Hookshot Cave.
So, well, strike 1 so far. That's another piece of heart. A lot of rupees.
Mm-hmm.
A second piece of heart.
Uh-uh.
Oh, and half magic.
I mean, not bad consolation prizes, but definitely not those shiny red boots you're hoping for.
No. Not in the least. And it looks like Jetters has a couple... P-Train.
Oh, no.
That's a medallion. So
and it's the one medallion we do not need.
Yeah, in any way, shape, or form. So P-Train, unfortunately, gonna strike out on Mimic Cave.
Yeah, that was a whammy.
So at this point, do we continue Turtle Rock? Do we just get out of here?
We run. We do not look back.
Because, I mean, you have Laser Bridge not too far away at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good move to get out of there. If that was the only thing drawing you up there was that hint. But, you know, as I was saying, when you have that Turtle Rock kit, you want to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like we have Jetters into Zora's domain. We're going to see a cape showing up in the Waterfall Cave.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Durand going the 5-6 route, because he's in Thieves Town. Battling blind as Calvin is up against the Helmasaur King. So we'll see what Paradox Cave has for P-Train. as we've got our runners all over the place.
Yeah, just had a little check at the ledge by Zora there. Just 20 rupees sitting on the ledge. So hopefully the big fish will have something for us.
Well, I saw the last 2 checks for P-Train. They are unfortunately not going to help him out.
Mm-hmm. Other than that butter sword, which is really just sort of for fun at this point. And unfortunately, Big Fish just has a big love.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Zora's domain is out of the question. Calvin picking up our first pendant, finishing Palace of Darkness. So we're about a little over 50 minutes in, and this is not a good average for picking up pendants when you only need 3 of them.
Yeah, 50 minutes a pendant, it's fine. This is our first check of the mushroom? I'm not sure, but it's not paying out today.
Durand, I think it was 10 digs for a heart in the digging game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think another runner was in there as well.
We're seeing P-Train going to pick up those flippers as well, though they haven't really led to much for Jetters yet.
Durand checking Cave 45, finding a little blueberry patch. Jetters? What are you doing there, buddy?
Checking the ledge.
Lumberjack cave check. Okay. I'll pop in there. No, you don't want that.
Nope. Getting a fake flippers here. Ironic that our fake flippers has to come from our Psyduck, which you'd think would be able to swim quite easily.
Yeah, so true. It looks like P-Train might be going, all right, I can at least grab one of my pendants now.
Yeah, you can grab your pendant, you can do a lot of checks, and then you're going to find that hookshot. Unfortunately, you might think that you missed something in Hookshot Cave. We know there is not a lot there except for some magic improvements.
Yeah, it was rupees, a couple piece of heart, and the half magic in the Hookshot Cave. So that location definitely not the greatest. Calvin gonna pick up the heart.
Well, you paid enough for it. Might as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Duran just did the hype cave. Got a whole bunch of goodies, but where to next? Maybe we're going to get a little peek into... I think we're going to get a tablet check is what we're going to get. But we've already checked that tablet. Not too much fun on it.
Calvin might be Turtle Rock bound. It looks like Durand going for the Bombos tablet. P-Train in Palace of Darkness. Jetters headed to Thievestown, perhaps?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Blacksmith Chain by going off to the right there?
Yeah, that would definitely be a good option.
Oh, wait, no. Jetters did the Blacksmith Chain, I think. So, or was that P-Train? One of them on that side did
it. Doing some other checks around town.
Oh,
gonna
no.
get a hammer.
Jetters definitely didn't do it because, yeah, he's going to get his hammer now as Durand wanders over to Ice Rod Cave to get the Redarang.
Need the complete set.
Absolutely. Collector's edition, after all.
Yeah. In fact, it seems like our runners are going to be dipping into every single dungeon at this rate. I think especially those who have flippers now and bombos and fire rod and a hammer are going to be going, Ice Palace maybe wants me to go in there.
Now, Durand is going up to the Hobo, it looks like, taking a look at Lake Hylia Island along the way. It looked like a 20 rupee.
Yeah, nothing worth going out of your way for.
Well, I got a little excited when I saw the color, and I'm like, oh, could it be? It was the right color, but definitely not the boots.
Oh, but we have a fetch quest giver out under the bridge. Take this shovel, do some digs, maybe find some boots.
Oh, now what the heck was he doing with that shovel underneath the bridge there?
Oh, maybe somebody threw it under there. Maybe they used it to bury a body and were disposing of the evidence, and he was just holding on to it for safekeeping.
Ay, ay, ay.
It's going to be needed in a criminal investigation, whatever's in the flute spot.
Yeah, so true. Calvin picking up the two full hearts in Super Bunny Cave. Durand into Zora's domain, which unfortunately for him, we already know is not going to work out for him very well.
No, not
Aside
unless you
from
really
picking
like
up the cape.
capes.
I mean, the cape doesn't really do much for you, though, here.
Yeah. We already have an invincibility item, and we also have lots of hearts.
And now, oh no, Calvin. If only we could convey to the runners, like, no, please don't go there. These are not the droids you were looking for.
No, unless you're looking for a half magic real bad. At least it's at the end after checking everything else. Your little consolation prize.
Now, there's actually a question of how many are in the race. With this being a daily race, there are, I believe I saw 16 runners, but somebody usually gatekeeps the race, so my count might be off by a little. 4 of which are restreamed.
And it should be noted, none of them have finished yet.
I wonder why.
It's hard to guess why. Maybe it's because the boots are somewhere really hard to find.
Yeah, you go into Desert Palace and you're thinking, oh yeah, well, this should be the easy one of the lot, and then your boot's locked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, boots locked is a big deal. The runner's very overpowered today. Everybody's got a butter sword except for Durand, and I think that's going to change very shortly here.
Yeah, Durand gonna pick up the 2 chests that are underneath the Paradox Cave.
Yep.
The
and
5.
There we go. All that butter. So Calvin's done a lot of checks. So heading back up the mountain, I can't help but wonder if we're going to see a little bit more Turtle Rock action, and maybe we'll see somebody just go through the whole thing.
That's really what I'm actually hoping Calvin does at this point. Unfortunately, it looks like he's headed the other way.
Spike cave check.
Now, I can't think the ice rod is just that kind of troll item you get where it's like, hey, you got an item.
Yeah, it's such a potential red herring, or I guess blue herring.
Yeah, in this case, blue herring seems surprisingly appropriate.
It's such an interesting item because it has so few uses in this game, like literally one use, that if you find it, it feels like it's significant, but it really could just be, this is a random item, just like that ether that was a unique item in Mimic Cave. There's P-Train, also picking up a pendant in this race to get 3 pendants. Everybody has 1 to none.
Now I see the minor little detail with Calvin going into Turtle Rock. He only has Quake Medallion at this point.
Aha. Yes. Trying to.
So leave it to me to overlook the the obvious details hiding right in front of my face. And
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
like,
trying to
oh,
remember where Bombos was. Of course, now I can't.
yeah, unfortunately, join the club.
P-Train doesn't have it, but or sorry, P-Train has it. Calvin doesn't have it.
Oh,
P-Train
right.
is
Yeah, it was in Hype Cave with like half of the other items in the game.
oh, that's right. And P-Train here deciding it's time to get pendant number 2. So we're gonna go into Misery Mire and maybe search around in here and hope, just hope that we're gonna find some boots along the way.
It's going to be so sick if Bootslock Desert Palace is going to be what causes us to, want to never play a Pedestal seed ever again. Because you get that one outlier like this, and it's just like, oh, no, please. No
but you know
more.
what's going to make really happy is our tracker, one of the 2 trackers we have. We have Link Force and we have Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna. He's the one who was calling that. So if it turns out that the boots are in Ganon's Tower, you know that that's going to be a happy day for somebody. So, there's always a bright side, right?
Yeah, very true. But I think the last time I did a Pedestal seed, we were down to like 3 or 4 checks before we had to go into Ganon's Tower to find the last item, and it was in Turtle Rock. And I think there were about 5 checks remaining before needing to go into the Ganon's Tower gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
And where I was defeated with... well, here goes a fetch quest. Duran turning in the mushroom, and it looks like being rewarded with a piece of heart.
Yeah, not a very valuable fetch quest. We're seeing... Meanwhile, P-Train working through Misery Mire, hoping to find something interesting in one of these chests, but gonna have to do that long wait for that chest, and a hint at least. It's got a little bonus to go along with it.
Well, that's if the hint is not in green.
That's true. In fact, we may have had a hint that suggested that whatever the other item was something we don't need. So we're not getting that check right now.
Well, I saw a chat reference
the big
a
key.
unique item in Misery Mire and a unique item in Mimic Cave.
There's our unique item in Misery Mire. Good old Bugnet.
Can I go back to being stuck in a conference call now? And just like forget this ever existed?
Oh, aren't you filled with joy that everybody is having to go on this wonderful, amazing ride?
There is some part of me that kind of feels for the runners, and I'm just like, ew.
Look at how many items they have. And
for a pedestal seed of all things,
P-Train just opened up the menu, and it was just like, here's a smorgasbord of amazing items, and absolutely none of them are the one thing we need.
So hopefully we can get another check for a hint tile that says, hey, there's a unique item here, and it's hopefully somewhere they haven't been yet. Because it's almost like the Monty Hall problem of like you keep eliminating all of the variables, and eventually you're going to find the big deal behind one of the doors.
Mm-hmm. At some point, you run out of doors, but you know, there's 216 doors.
Yeah.
All right, Vitreous. I don't think you have an item. I think you have a key. Oh, you did have an item, but it certainly wasn't the one we wanted.
No, not at all. Calvin looking to finish off these town. So P-Train taking down Misery Mire, that's pendant number 2. However, as we already know, and Signum's, of course, has to be, Mr. Math Wizard here. There's only 215.
Be on the pedestal. Yeah. But we have to pull the pedestal, so if it gets to that point, we will have done a full 216.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, P-Train checking Lake Hylia, seeing the correct color, but nowhere near the correct shape. So it looks like we're into Ice Palace at this point.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's a good play at this point. Probably you want to try this before you try Swamp. But at the same time, there's a lot of movement and a lot of that you have to do in Ice Palace, and there's a reason none of the runners have dipped into it before now.
At this point, you're just kind of going, is it really in Ganon's tower with the boots? And do you full clear and just go, all right, I'm betting on Ganon's tower at this point? Or do you have to actually go full clear Ice Palace because you don't want to be the one that misses Ice Palace boots? And it's just, oh boy.
Mm-hmm. I think we're getting the other option right now, which is the Swamp Palace check from Jetters here.
Ooh, P-Train missing a bomb, cutting himself off from the drop-down spot.
That doesn't feel good.
No. I think Jetters can actually finish Swamp Palace at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can finish everything except for Desert Palace.
Yeah. The one we need to finish is nope.
Yeah, I think the only thing you can do at this point is pick a dungeon, full clear it, because you don't know if one of the items it has could be the one you want, and then if it turns out that it's in Ganon's tower, then at least you've already started your work.
Yeah, that is true. At this point, I'm almost, what else can you do? You're really just kind of hoping, okay, what wild and crazy thing do I have to do to find the boots?
Yeah, wild and crazy might be the right word for it. Not a very useful hint there. Telling us very old news about Moon Pearl.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're so far into the game, the likelihood of a hint just telling you something you already know is so extremely high.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I'm kind of thinking about, and chat as well, which reminded me, have we seen a hint for oh my.
Oh, turns out Swamp was the right play.
So Swamp Palace, I was about to theorize perhaps Pyramid Fairy, but Jetters, went and sank my battleship.
Poor Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna, your dream is dead.
Yeah, let's can we all get some F's in the chat for Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna's hopes and dreams?
Yeah, hopes and dreams for Ganon's town. I'm actually a little surprised that P-Train went for Ice Palace before Swamp, but you know, they have the kit for both of them, so I understand.
Well, Ice Palace was closer to where he was, so
I guess.
you know, it's just so lottery-esque at this point. It's like, all right, am I doing the right dungeon? And then you just kind of kick yourself and go, wow, I went into Ice Palace when I really didn't need to, and just kind of tossed what could have been a lead of some kind, as Calvin now gets Bombos and the Cane of Samaria. So does Calvin take the bait and go to Turtle Rock at this point? We know he's opened it, and he just got everything he needs to go to Turtle Rock at this point.
They go and get Misery Mire done because they know they have everything they need. Yeah, looks like they're heading that way, and then stay in South Hyrule.
Yeah, Calvin, he could have just walked over to Swamp Palace at this point. You know, the 200 IQ play of going to Swamp Palace, doing Misery Mire, mirroring out into Desert, and going, yep, we're done. Thanks for playing.
Yeah. Jetter is picking up. Abundant. Life is starting to look good.
So it looks like Jetters is about ready to finish here. Just got to make it to the proper location. I think a little ahead of himself, going to Link's house instead of Kakariko.
A little excited here. Got to get Palace of Darkness out of the way.
Ah, right. He still has to collect Palace of Darkness. Okay.
Mm-hmm. If P-Train makes the exact right move, they actually have an opportunity to come get ahead here, but they're going to have to pretty much go straight to Swamp after striking out with the witches.
Well, that piece of heart definitely confirming that Witch's Hut is not the correct answer. So at this point, he either goes up toward Turtle Rock, going down to Link's house. Is he on the right track? No.
Gotta check that shovel. That's the problem.
Oh no, gonna go check the shovel before. Oh no.
No, that was such a good opportunity. But okay, check the shovel and then get frustrated and decide to do Swamp. Go for it. All right, go to Swamp.
Now here's the moment of truth. He could go up to Turtle Rock.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's going to Kakariko.
Magic Bat?
Yeah, they would still have the powder at this point.
Yeah, doing all the overworld checks before going into a dungeon. It's definitely, it's tough to talk yourself out of doing all of those things, especially when you're looking at you don't technically.
Yeah, that's just that so savage aspect of a seed like this, because you get so many kind of twists and turns, and it's just like, which way is up at this point? What am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to, when you have to make your own logic, which is what these randomizers do for you, to kind of get on the same wavelength as the seed is sometimes hard.
That's a hook shot, and he went up to Death Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
This might be round 2 with Turtle Rock for P-Train.
Yeah, it could be. I almost wonder if P-Train's planning on just going for Ganon's Tower now. But hopefully, if they do that, they will check enough chests in Swamp to find the boots and abort the mission.
Yeah, absolutely.
Calvin getting the net and Misery Mire doing some frustration swipes after picking it up. That's not a very fun, unique item to find.
Actually, it looks like P-Trade might be in. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, sorry, are we keeping you up here with
Yeah, a little too excited. You get old, and it's just like, oh, past my bedtime.
It's Friday night. Yeah, no, I understand. It's definitely getting close to my bedtime. People are up Friday night, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play a little Link to the Past randomizer and go to bed at 11:30.
So it looks like P-Train gonna pick up a pair of hearts here.
Yeah, maybe check some stuff in that they didn't check before. Unfortunately, they're really gonna strike out here. It's not gonna feel very good.
No, since we already know from, I think, each of our other restreamed runners. But it looks like Jetters is on his way into Victory Lane here.
Yeah, making the charge, swiping with that big, beautiful butter sword, getting all these guards out of the way because, of course, Jetters actually somewhat unnecessarily killed Aghanim, so the wizard's dead.
Yeah, I don't blame him, though. I mean,
No.
the logic kind of gave you the hint of like, hey, here's stuff to go do this thing, so go do this thing. And there we go. The first of our restreamed runners, HXC Jetters, gonna finish. Do you have his time? Because his
Yeah.
it's blanked out on the restream here, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I can give you the time. So, finishing in 4th place overall, with a time of 1 hour 37 minutes. Wait, sorry, what's that? No, sorry, I'm looking at the best. 1 hour 16 minutes and 33 seconds, beating their personal best by 21 minutes and 17 seconds. Congratulations, and GG, welcome to our chat, Jetters.
Hello.
So those boots, huh?
Yeah, those boots. I thought that the flippers were gonna be useless, and then I was proven wrong.
There were two options, I guess, at this point, and you and P-Train did the opposite ones. You went into Swamp, P-Train went into Ice Palace. Unfortunately, Ice Palace was a total bust.
Yeah, I was thinking if Swamp was a bust, I was gonna go into Ice Palace afterwards, because I wanted to leverage the flippers that I got, and hopefully that they were the answer, because I felt really behind, because it wasn't required. So there was that one, and then I just kind of like mid-seed went all the wrong directions.
I mean, it's easy to do when the world is as open as it became. And I mean, looking at everybody's screens here, once again, kudos to our trackers, Link40 and Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna, the saddest man alive, because we didn't have the go to Ganon's Tower for the boots situation. All of our runners have so many things. Like, there's nothing that isn't open to you at this point, except for until you got those boots, Desert Palace.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually, we got access to Gold Sword pretty quickly, and I was actually quite surprised by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we even got a hint about the item in Paradox Cave. Unfortunately, really not a lot of value in that direction, either in the light or dark world, except for those flippers, which wound up being a key component.
Yeah, when I saw those, I was like, I really don't think they're gonna be, because like you could just kind of sequence break all the other checks in them. Like, well, I guess unless it's in Swamp Palace, I don't think these flippers are very useful.
But luckily, that was a good decision to make. And that how did that feel, seeing those boots?
I felt better. I was like, because I got the boots before Zelga finished. I'm like, man, I might get first out of this because who else would have been going the route that I did? Because I had a really weird route, probably that ran a lot differently than most people, because most people probably went into pod right away.
Yeah, some people did. There wasn't a huge amount of value there other than the hook shot fairly early on, but I guess that's a bit of a breadcrumb to send you in the direction of Swamp.
Yeah, the hook shot you needed. Well, to East Death Mountain, now that I think about it, because the hammer was just kind of sitting out there in the Village of Outcasts, but hookshot definitely sent me up there, especially after getting the Titan's Mitts.
Well, another thing to mention as well is that early Ice Rod ended up being that giant, well, since we called it the blue herring this time in deference to the Ice Rod, do you get an item like the flippers and just kind of go and basically say the same thing you do with the Ice Rod this time around? It's just like, okay, great, I have it, but it doesn't really help me in any way.
Ice Rod, I tend not to worry about. I don't play a lot of ped seeds, but in this situation, I wouldn't really worry about it for Ice Rod in particular, because is going to be quite a time investment, and if it comes down to that, then I'm not going to go there till I'm out of everything else to check. Maybe if there's some one-off checks that are a pain, I might skip those for Turtle Rock, but yeah, I'd try not to go to Turtle Rock as much as I can.
Unfortunately, we're seeing Durand heading into to Turtle Rock here, taking that bait perhaps. Now, did you get the hint about a unique item in Mimic Cave?
Yeah, I did, but I had forgot about it, to be honest, until you just mentioned it.
It was Ether, which is the one medallion that was not required, so that was extra disappointing.
Yeah, the hints that led to unique items were complete tilters this time around.
Well, I mean, the bomb is a unique bomb is required for a unique item turned out to be true in 3 cases. One for the blue cane in Mini Moldorm Cave, one for there's a bunch of unique items this time in Hype Cave. That Hype Cave was pretty packed. And then one for the hammer in Village of Outcasts.
So who knows what that hint was actually referring to.
Yeah. But I am glad that I did skip out on the Skullwoods in Thieves Town. I made that decision because I felt behind, so I'm like, I'm going to try to do overworld checks and just kind of hope it falls into my lap. And, because a lot of people probably will at least have checked the front of Thieves Town.
And you would be correct. Of the 4 restreamed runners, you were the only one that has not collected the Thieves Town crystal.
A couple of people went and completed Skullwoods as well, like the whole thing.
Yeah, P-Train and Calvin. And it looks like Durand may end up going that way as well. But with having the fire rod so early, is it again one of those cases where it's like, all right, why do I have the fire rod? It's useful for something, right?
Yeah. I think had I not felt behind, I think I definitely would have done Skullwoods with that fire rod. I made the conscious decision to skip it. But given that fire rod, I was definitely thinking about Skullwoods off the bat. And then I was also kind of thinking when I collected the Hera Crystal, potentially going for the Pyramid Fairy crystals, the 5/6s, but turns out not needed.
Nope, we just had somebody check P-Train check the pyramid ferry and was just
Yeah,
a
Calvin's
bottle.
a little bit behind him, bombing away the pyramid as well. Sorry to cut in there.
That's okay. We're seeing and Duran still working their way through through Turtle Rock. Oh boy, that's gonna be disappointing. Though I kind of hope we see a couple of runners. Well, we're not, because people are gonna get the boots before they wind up getting every crystal. But it would be kind of funny to see somebody go all the way up Ganon's Tower and just go, you know what, I'm gonna fight this guy. This is the end of my game, I guess.
And it looks like P-Trade's going to Swamp, so he'll get those boots. Luckily, the seed was nice enough to leave them in the second chests there, so you didn't have to go to like left side Swamp to get them.
Yeah, that's nice. Although I anticipate maybe a bit of frustration from P-Train upon finding them.
Well, we have usually we do play a guessing game, but how about how many rage slashes P-Train is going to fire away with upon finding the boots?
I would say 11.
And Calvin checking the catfish, piece of heart, gotta go.
Almost
Bye-bye.
left before seeing what it was there.
And Duran's off to the laser bridge, so we get to see what's over there. See a key.
Honestly, it can't be much. I mean, we collected all the
200.
items in the game almost.
Yeah,
300
it was
rupees.
amazing watching you guys open
Compass.
your.
I did not see the first chest, so
I think the only thing we're missing is shovel
No, somebody
and a
found
bottle, maybe.
it. Duran
Oh.
found the shovel.
P-Train is accounted for all 4 bottles, and the shovel was found by Calvin and Duran. So I think all of the items are accounted for through the combined efforts of all of the restreamed runners.
Now P-Train has the boots now. I didn't see the slashes. Sorry, chat. Was there some slashing, or was it just calm acceptance of fate?
May well have been calm acceptance of fate. Durand actually having a go at Trihex here.
Yeah, Blue Mail Butter Sword. This is gonna be, might as well. You've done all that work. Kill the boss. Take the prize.
Oh, that was super quick.
We're gonna get a high five from Calvin and Durand here as Calvin heads in and Durand leaves pocket full of blueberries.
Yeah, unfortunately, Durand has Ice Palace, Swamp Palace, Skull Woods, and that leaves him basically with a 1 in 3 shot of going to the correct dungeon at this point. Because I can't think of anywhere Durand hasn't looked in, overworld check type places. So
Yeah, Calvin checked that hint at the beginning of Turtle Rock, and it was a hint about Swamp Palace, but only about what was on the left side, and that there was nothing and a big key there. So, not quite something that's going to point them in that direction.
yeah, that's true. Looks like Durand is into the spiral cave. So, yuck.
Yeah, it would feel pretty bad if the boots were here, I think.
Now, unfortunately, since I don't have the times available, since we have a little bit of a lull with P-Train taking on Lanmullis, would you like to rattle off a couple of the times for us for the finishers?
Sure. So while we're waiting for our restream finishers, night was from Zelga Disson, who had a time of 109.38. Second place, we have Thalum 99 with a time of 1:11 even. Salty Fry right behind them, 1:11:20, so 20 seconds between the two of them. Of course, fourth place was Jetters. And we have a fifth place finisher, KSA, 2018. Had a sixth place finisher, I am Alston, with a time of 1:26:27. So far, less than 10 finishers overall. Actually,
Well, wait a little bit.
gonna be soon.
P-Train is on his way over to the Pedestal. So
Gonna check it first. Got the book out. Let's see what it
have
is.
the book out. So congratulations, P-Train. You win.
Definitely deserved. And now, finishing official SRL time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 48 seconds. P-Train, 20.
Oh, and Durand is seemingly still intent on trying to check everything he possibly can. Looks like Skull Woods for Durand at this point. He's headed up to the Dark World access point. So this is unfortunately not the right direction for Durand. I think we have an intruder alarm. P-Train with us.
Hello, GG everybody.
GG P-Train.
What a fun race mode with absolutely no downsides. Such a fair and honest race mode.
so how do you feel having full cleared almost the entire game?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the point of a ped seat is to not be as long as an open, so this is like my second or third ped seat that I've ever done. So I don't know. I'll try anything twice. But yeah, I don't think this mode is for me.
There's so much volatility depending on how buried something is, and boy, those boots were just buried in just the right amount of layers of things to make you start feeling like maybe they're in Ganon's tower, which is what Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna wanted.
Well, see, like the annoying thing was that we got 2 hints. Obligatory. Hints suck.
Mhm.
But the unique item hint was what got me. Like, so there was a unique item in Mimic Cave, which ended up being Ether. I tried to Galaxy Brain. Let's skip all the pendant dungeons and go straight to Mimic Cave and see what that does, and that ended up failing. And then you're left with there's a unique item behind a bomb. So I went to Pod, knowing that there's the bombable ledge. That didn't work out. After that, I went to Ice because, with the exception of the first chest, everything in Ice Palace is behind a bomb. So I was like, all right, well, let me try that. And there's also 3 hints, none of which paid out. So then I think I went to Meyer. Or no, I did Meyer just to get the pendant out of the way. Then I went to Ice. That didn't work. So then I started chasing item density back on Dark Death Mountain. I was like, surely Pyramid Ferry doesn't count as a bombable location. It ended up having garbage. And I cleared Thieves Town just so I could get to the Pyramid Ferry. Almost routed to Catfish and Zora, but opted to do
That turns out.
at the front.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And that ended up being it. So
Catfish was a piece of heart, and Zora was, I believe, busted for trying to be a lady of the night.
Just a bit of love.
Yeah, I got baited into doing Aga. The only option I had left was Eastern, and even though I had the bow, I was like,
I mean, when you have
think
mirror, it's
maybe
not
I
that
should
bad
do
of a call.
Aga. Because that's why I did it. I did I had mirror, so I did it to route Eastern and Pod together with the mirror. But Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was just a waste of time, unfortunately, though.
I mean, I would have rather done AGA than literally.
Yeah, because I didn't want to go to Easter and come up empty-handed and then have to do AGA anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting when you've got a seed where you see people with 4 bottles and butter sword and like we didn't find a lot of shields. I guess all the shields were in Ganon's tower.
I've noticed that a lot of the weird modes like that, like Pedestal and Triforce, they often end up being front loaded. Like you find yourself with super early tempered, a lot of progression, and the map just busts itself wide open. So I've noticed that with a lot of these weird race modes.
Yeah. It's tough because when the entire world is open to you, like how do you break that down into bite-sized pieces to even kind of wrap your head around?
Yeah, for me, I wish hints were a little bit more helpful this seed. In particular, that unique item behind the bomb when you've already got Berna out of Mini Moldorm, flippers off of or flippers off of the floating island, Samaria and Bombos out of Hype Cave. Like and then bombable locations could be anything from the Chest and Swamp Palace to, Rando Room in GT. So, how much, to me, that was the question of the seed is how much weight do you put on that unique item behind a bombable location?
Yeah. I mean, at least by the point it came to the boots are one of the only unique items literally left in the game at this point. So, I mean, I guess, but boy, that's a lot of work to get through all of those checks, and especially for those kind of troll items.
Well, it looks like we have another winner in the I'm not going to rage slash when I find the boots game. Durand finding the boots, and I think he actually completed his item grid for the tracker, aside from, finishing, the rest of the dungeons.
Out of curiosity, did anybody find Cape?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Where was
all
that?
of our other runners found it. I believe it was in Paradox Cave, one of the only. Was it in Paradox Cave or Super Bunny Cave? Somewhere over there. I think.
Super Bunny
Bunny
Cave was 2 heart containers, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
Maybe I got it.
Waterfall.
It was in Waterfall because
That's
Oh,
right.
okay.
you didn't go over to the Zora area, so you never went into the Waterfall Cave.
Yeah, there was a little bit of metagaming going on when I saw Zelga finish. I was like, all right, I know it's definitely not on Left Side Swamp. It's probably not on Laser Bridge. It's definitely not in GT.
Well, I think there was actually a hint that went around for Left Side Swamp saying that it was junk and more junk.
Yeah,
But,
junk and a big key, which is probably leading to junk.
I just realized that there was more. So there was the unique item behind the bomb. We have 4 places now that I just thought about it. There's the boots. There's the hype cave. There's the brewery, and then there was Mini Moldorm Cave.
I feel like
all
for the
behind a
hints,
bomb.
Yeah, there's two types of the hints. There's this specific item is found, in this area, like in this area, or a unique item is found in this very vague area. It would be almost nice if it was always like a little bit mixed. Like if they tell you specifically what item, it's a hint that doesn't give it completely away. Or
Yeah, that's my biggest gripe about hints. Is probably is a unique item.
yeah, unique item is just mean, especially with the single arrow in that pool.
well, with, such a vague location, it should hopefully tell you the item instead of saying, well, a unique item is in this specific spot. Instead, perhaps this specific item is in this vague spot, like behind a bombable wall. So you would know, okay, the hammer is behind a bombable wall. you would know once you find the hammer, you don't have to look behind every other bombable wall because the hint doesn't say that specific thing of
Hmm.
a unique item is behind a bombable wall. And we found 7 of them just because there were so many unique items in Hype Cave itself that it could have referenced.
Behind a bombable wall, this seed plays out completely different. In that case, I absolutely jumped to Swamp Palace. Especially because I think I had. Well, no, I didn't. I had to go up to Floating Island to get flippers. But yeah, I mean, the moment I get flippers, I'm heading to Swamp Palace, like no question.
But yeah, I guess, time to visit the Discord and make a little bit of a suggestion for those hints.
Well, guys, unfortunately, I do have to step away. I really appreciate the restream. Appreciate you guys commentating. Special shout out to trackers. I've commed before, and it's literally impossible without good trackers. So I appreciate y'all. Link40 and Big Scruff Ninja Tuna. And GG again, Jetters. Enjoyed it.
Yep, GG. Another ped seed in the books.
Thanks, P-Train. GG.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
good luck in the rest of the siege you run. And with that said, we have another finisher, Durand, pulling the pedestal.
It's gotta feel good. Full kit of items other than shields. Hopefully you don't need any shields.
Yeah. Oh, and Durand just switched his timer over to what looks like perhaps a GBA Pokemon game. So if he would be so kind as to list his time for me.
I can
Everybody else.
bring it up. Durand. What do we have here? Done at 9th place with a time of 1:40:55.
Well done. Hopefully we have our 10th place finisher in short order. Calvin gonna read the pedestal hint. So he now knows that he's going to be a winner in about the next 5 seconds once the pendants give way to pulling the pedestal.
Indeed. In fact, we had somebody sneak in between. We've got Hydropower
Ooh.
78 in 10th place with a time of 1:41:54.
Ooh.
Calvin getting that 11th place, 1:42:15. Doing the some of the comments on the race chat. Power saying, "Pleasure to meet you. My first name is Je. Last name Baited."
Oh, we have ourselves a little bit of a intruder alarm. I think might be joined by Calvin. It looks like.
Well, hello.
GG, Calvin.
GG, everyone.
So, about this seed, was there anything that seemed to be a little difficult to find?
The boots?
Ooh, correct answer.
Yeah. So, I think I got debated like maybe 2 times in that seed, and going up to Mimic Cave, because it got the Mimic Cave hint about a unique item being there, I was just like, yeah.
Well, if it's any consolation, every one of the restreamed runners got debated by at least one, if not both, of the hints that said a unique item is in this specific location with Misery Mire and Mimic Cave.
Hmm.
And we also have Durand with us. GG, Durand.
GG.
So everybody now has love of about 4 minutes. How do they feel?
Oh, it's all right. Think of it as a therapy session after, having to go through a seed like this.
You know, I found it not really too difficult. Just finding boots was my problem. Like, how did the beginning go? Like, did everybody get Titan's mitts as fast as I did? I felt like I did that really fast. Or
A couple of you went straight through and finished Eastern Palace because of that bow, but it took the other runners a little bit longer.
Yeah, I
I
feel
felt
like I
really
was
good.
one of the last one to get them.
I felt really good at that point. And then when I found Hammer, I made a kind of like a sketch play, but I'm like, if I can clear a pendant dungeon, I'm just going to do it. So I found Hammer and fluted out before I even finished all that stuff. And then Pod gave me hook shot, so I'm like, ooh, I could do Misery Mire, but I need the Cane of Samaria, and then that's when things just started slipping out of place for me.
Yeah, I believe the cane was in Hype Cave.
What? No, what about that hype cave? I think that's the most hype cave I think I've ever seen. It had so much in it.
If it only been the hypest cave.
Yeah, I think it was. It lived up to its name tonight.
Yeah,
But it also baited me in the Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I was going to say it had the Bombos medallion, which seemed to debate a couple runners, both of you actually, into finishing Turtle Rock. But at that point, you have the ice rod. You kind of go, all right, why would they give me the ice rod if I don't need it for anything?
and the hint about a unique item in Mimic Cave. Oh man. But other than that, it was in my opinion, it was a very baitable seed, and I fell for it.
Come to
But
think of it, were the flippers even required? I don't think so.
The hook
Swamp
shot wasn't
Palace?
required, I don't think.
Oh wait, yes they were. Forgot. The flippers were required for the boots. That's right, just to get into Swamp.
Yeah, just that
Hmm.
first little place, but the hook shot was totally just a bit of a breadcrumb.
Yeah, because you could either get to East Death Mountain via hammer or hookshot.
Definitely an interesting seed. Looking at everybody's items, it's just so colorful.
Yeah, I don't normally see full boards like this on, like standard or open seeds at all. I mean, Calvin and Durand have everything. Jetters is missing the cape. Or excuse me, P-Train missing the cape. Jetters missing shovel and I believe ether.
And the only dungeons that nobody completed are Swamp Palace and Ice Palace. Other than that, everybody, through team effort, they all have been defeated.
I was starting to think that Boots might be in freaking Ganon's tower.
Oh, we were hoping that one of our trackers was on that right from the start, and it was certainly close. Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna even cackling right now in the chat.
So
Yeah, as soon as I saw Zelga finish, I just threw that out of my mind. I'm like, okay, looks like it's not in GT. So don't worry about crystals.
Oh yeah, well that definitely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think there was anything else that may have thrown you off or, put you on the right track and it just kind of, didn't go the way you think it could have or should have?
I don't know. Hard question.
A valid answer is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true because just the way it goes sometimes, where you just do all these checks. You kind of go, okay, I've got this thing, I've got that thing. And I was positing probably about 20 minutes in where I think some of the runners were already on Tempered Sword. And I'm going, you know, this almost feels like you need to do Aghanim just to get Dark World access. And then, of course, that got dumped on its head by Calvin and P-Train finding Dark World access, while Jetters and Durand, you had both gone into Aghanim to get out of the Light World in that method.
And my reason was I didn't even find Bo yet, so I couldn't finish Eastern. So that was the problem.
Oh
Ah.
yeah, Bo was on top of Spectacle Rock.
Yep. Came there too late. I think pretty much this seed was made for anyone who's fairly new to the game and just completely messes up routing. Then you'd win.
So me,
Fight your instincts.
Do I count?
yeah, I would have been going into Swamp Palace first thing for no good reason and be going, oh, well, this was an easy seed.
I should have did that when I went in the Hype Cave, and like it was on my mind. I'm like, if nothing's in here besides like Kane and Samaria, because I know it could possibly be there, I was like, I'll dive Swamp at that point, because I think I got the flippers before I went up there. Yeah, because after I got the hook shot, I went up to clear Death Mountain. So that was my plan anyway. It's something that I probably should have stuck with. Should have been in go mode a long time ago. But it is what it is.
You got
I'm kind of happy with the way that I played anyway. Just it's random. I'm still happy, even though 11th place is out of 17 or something like that. I don't even know.
Yeah, I felt good about my execution too. I didn't have any kind of frustration other than where's the item, not oh crap I fell or I died or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about ped seeds is they're just so random. Like, you can go one way and make it the most efficient routing, and it just isn't the way you need to go because so few items are overall needed, and it just always like you have to search for at least one of them.
Yeah, there's definitely a fair chunk of luck involved.
It's a good suspense builder though, because go mode comes a lot faster. Usually.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a pretty fun race. Thanks all of you for running. That was a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to, I mean, there was so much going on. Sometimes we would miss somebody. We missed the first find of the boots because we were all staring at, I think, was it P-Train in Ice Palace, just kind of racking our brains where they could be. And then the chat was yelling at us that the boots had been found. So thanks for all of your work. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yep, thanks for restreaming.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for the commentators, the trackers, Speed Gaming. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely the unsung heroes of our broadcast tonight, Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna, giving us a little conspiracy theory to bank on, and Link Force Zero, and a little quick shout out to Red Reamer as well, filling in for me while I was a little busy at the start of the run.
Yeah, thanks very much, dude, especially for jumping in and helping with commentary and also volunteering to help with tracking when we were looking for folks. So, it's great to have people who are just ready to hop in and help wherever's needed.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I always see you signing up whenever there's no one around.
Well, thanks, man. Well,
all right. How
I
about
guess we
one
should
last check to see if anybody's finished, and then close it down for the night. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
I'll give you a hint. Since I was late, I didn't load up the IRC.
Well, I've got it up here. Let's have a look. After Calvin, we have... Let me see. Any other finishers? I'm not sure if we do. Checking the entrance here.
Well, it'll be a quick read then if there's no one that actually finished after Calvin.
A couple of forfeits, and we do have one racer still going, so hopefully they're gonna find. Must be maybe they're doing the full run up Ganon's tower at this point. That could be that could be what's happening, just for fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, for anybody who wants to try to scratch that speed gaming itch, this is actually the last run scheduled for tonight. We have a little bit of Metroid Zero mission starting off at about noon, and a second race at 2. Looks like some Star Wars Episode 1 pod racing at 1. And Super Metroid Dual Anti-Bingo, I believe, is the DAB at 5 p.m. for those who want to get their fix. I think at this point, aside from that, let's shut it down, shall we?
Sounds good to me. Thanks everybody for coming out, and one last little shout out to our trackers, especially Mr. who has been hanging out in the chat being evil, and Link Force. And yeah, if you want to check out more, we're going to be around most days with interesting stuff going on a variety of speed gaming channels. So go on and check it on out.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.